Hello, everybody, and welcome back into the Madman Betting Podcast. We have just completed Week 6. We're diving into Week 7 in college football. We're coming down the stretch, guys. A lot of big games over these next few weeks in college football, and also getting into week number 6 in the NFL. A good weekend last weekend, guys. I'll start off by just updating you before we get the podcast started. We are plus 73 units, so we did give 5 units back last week. My apologies. I lost my dog of the week last week. I don't ever intend to lose my dog of the week. Had a shot, just Florida International just didn't show up. I feel like we were on the right side the way the game was bet, but we lost our dog of the week. You'll never hear excuses. It's a loss. We roll on. We continue to fight through the rest of the season. Saturday was not a good day in college football, as everybody knows. We got it back in the NFL on Sunday, so that was good. We turned our NFL season around. So again, guys, as of right now, we are 59.7% on the season total bets. 6-1 on the dog of the week, 39-24 on our college plays, 14-12 on the NFL. So we're actually on the winning side of all three, and we're hitting at 59.7. So let's keep that rolling as we dive into this week. And man, it's all good when you see Penn State lose and then turn around and get Kansas City loses as well. Because I'm not a Kansas City fan, and I damn sure ain't a James Franklin fan no more. If you guys didn't hear my rant, check that out. It's over on TikTok and all of our social media. You lose to Oregon, you get on a plane and fly out west, and a dumpster fire lose to UCLA. So enough of that. All right, guys. One thing we're going to add this week on the show is as we get closer to the end of the season, want your thoughts. You let us know what you think. Top 10, couple teams I think that sitting just outside the top 10 probably should get a little bit more respect, considering the record and considering where they're at and the records of the teams above them. But as it sits right now, the top 25, Ohio State, Miami number 2, Oregon, Mississippi, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Indiana, Alabama, Texas Tech, Georgia, and LSU sitting at number 11, just outside the top 10. I'll be honest with you, I'm not that impressed with LSU to this point, and they may turn it around and look a whole lot better going forward. But Georgia Tech, 5-0, they're sitting at number 13, probably about the right spot. Maybe could move up 12, 11, something like that. Missouri's the one I don't think's getting a ton of respect right now. They're 5-0. They're playing really good football right now. 5-0, sitting at number 14. BYU 5-0, sitting at number 18. And the surprising part, they give this love to Notre Dame, and Illinois and Virginia both at 5-1, and Virginia coming off a huge win. Well, 2 back-to-back. It beat Louisville, and also big win against Florida State. Illinois stubbed their toe one time against Indiana, an undefeated Indiana, who of course has a big game this week. But they're 5-1, sitting behind Notre Dame, and Notre Dame's got 2 losses. That I don't think's right. But again, as we know, we debate this every year. Everybody does. Everybody says this team, that team deserves to be here or there. However, we all know the games play out. It ends up working itself out in the end. But guys, what's cool is we got the playoff now. So you're going to get your shot. You're going to make it into the playoff. And if you get into the playoff, like I've said 100 times, you don't have to be the better team. You only have to be the better team that day. And that's something I've said for a long time as I've done my podcast over the years, and I've done some spots over the years, and also given out these plays over the year. That's why we like the plays we like. That's why we dive into the plays we dive into, is because we understand you don't have to be the best team on the field. You just have to be the better team that day. So, again, guys, there we go. That's the top 10. We'll talk about it. Let's dive into our top 10 QBs. Made some changes this week. Took Nosmeyer out. Haynes King has dropped out. This is, again, my top 10. You guys may have a different opinion. We dropped out Mayava out of Southern Cal. Again, if you think someone deserves to be in that top 10, let us know who you think. We look at the stats and try to look at the way they're playing. Have they cost their team some games? Where they sit as far as their record's concerned. We don't play the record so much into the stats because I believe if you're going to be the top 10 be in the top 10 quarterback list, it has nothing to do with your record, because if your defense gives up 60 points a game and you're still a good quarterback, you shouldn't be defaulted just because of your defense being bad. Although that's how they hand out Heisman trophies, is based on record, which I don't agree with that either. I think it should be the best player on the field of a team, doesn't matter who, but McCaffrey's a good example at Stanford. Had an opportunity to win it, never got on TV, didn't win it, and probably was well deserving and should have won it. So, top 10 QBs, the Madman. So, number 10, just made it in. We did not have him in before. He has looked real good. I think he's playing great ball right now. Big game coming up this weekend. Big game. This will give us an idea if he stays in the top 10 or not. He's playing against Ohio State. Luke Ottmeyer from Illinois. Only lost, like I said, stubbed his toe against Indiana. They got blown out. 109 of 148, 74%, 1,570 yards, 12 TDs. He's getting it done. They blew out Duke, Western Michigan. They just beat Southern Cal and Purdue right after that loss. So they got back up off the floor and took care of business the last 2 weeks. Got a big game coming up this week. This will tell the story. But top 10, Madman quarterback number 10 on the top 10 list for this week, Luke Ottmeyer out of Illinois going up against Ohio State. We got him at number 10. Number 9, this is a newcomer to my top 10. And I think they've played good ball after getting blown out the first week of the season. The stats speak for themselves. They've got another game. This is another team that's got a big game on deck. Ty Simpson out of Alabama, since that game, has done a great job at quarterback. 111 of 158, 70% completion rate. 1,478 yards, 13 TDs. They beat Louisiana Monroe, Wisconsin, Georgia, and Vanderbilt after losing to Florida State. So I had to put him in my top 10. He's playing ball, and he's helping his team win some games. And they've beat a couple pretty good teams here the last couple weeks with beating Vandy and also beating Georgia back-to-back weeks. They got Missouri this week. So we'll see how he does against Missouri. But Madman, top 10 QBs coming in at number 9 this week, Ty Simpson out of Alabama. Moving on to number 8, and I probably should move this guy up a little bit higher. This dude's a baller. They're on a bye week this week. Moved him into the top 10. They've run off 3 straight wins, NC State, Syracuse, and Cal. And he got the job done last week against Cal. Darian Mesa out of Duke. So he comes in at 143, 205, 69%, 1,800 yards and 15 TDs. He's getting the job done down at Duke. So coming in, Madman Club, top 10 QBs, Darian Mesa out of Duke coming in at number 8 this week. Moving on, number 7. I think he dropped down a little bit from last week, or maybe stayed the same. I'm not a fan. If you can talk the trash and back it up, that's one thing. If you talk trash and then go out there and lay an egg, that's another. Diago Pavia out of Vanderbilt. He's still a good quarterback. Don't get me wrong. He's 115, 161, 71%, 1409, 14 TDs. But you got to back it up. You can't say, hey, we're going to beat them again. It won't be close. And then go out there and lose by 16, I think, 30-14. So Diogo Pavia, Madman Club, top 10 QBs this week, coming in at number 7, Diogo Pavia out of Vanderbilt. Moving on to number 6, still balling. He is still balling, guys. Drew Metamaker out of North Texas. They're 5-0. They got a big game this week against South Florida. This will be a true test to see if he's still getting the job done. 106 of 156, 71%, 1,250 yards, 11 TDs, and of course they're undefeated. They're going up against a 4-1 South Florida team this weekend, and of course we all know South Florida, that big stretch to start the season. They beat Boise State, they beat Florida, then they had to go play Miami and got beat. That's a tough way to start your season. But they have won every game except for that Miami game. So this will be an interesting ball game on Friday night. But again, we'll see whether Metamaker can continue to do the things he's done. Madman Club, top 10 QBs, coming in at number 6, Drew Metamaker out of North Texas this week. Moving on to number 5, and I don't know where I had this dude at last week. I think he may have stayed the same. TCU, Josh Hoover, 113 to 168, 67%, 1,500 yards and 15 TDs. Madman Club, top 10 QBs, coming in at number 5, Josh Hoover out of TCU. Moving on down the road to number 4, this is a team this is a place where you could stub your toe very easily. These SEC teams, some of these low-lying teams, they have a tendency to be a thorn in the side of some of those better teams. Tennessee's got Arkansas this week. Big favorite. They are at home. But Tennessee, if I'm not mistaken, has got Alabama on deck. Do not sleep on Arkansas this week, Joey Aguilar. I'm telling you, they are a thorn in the side of a lot of people. Madman Club, top 10 QBs, coming in at number 4, Joey Aguilar out of Tennessee. Big game this week and a big one next week against Alabama. Coming in at number 4, Joey Aguilar. Moving on up the road, number 3, talk about getting the job done. This guy is throwing the ball all over the yard. Baylor, Sawyer Robertson, 158 of 248, 2,058 yards, 19 TDs. Fresh off a win over K-State. He was 25 of 39 for 345 and 2 TDs. This guy's getting it done. If I'm not mistaken, they're 5-1. I haven't checked their record, but Madman Club, top 10 QBs, coming in at number 3 this week. Sawyer Robertson out of Baylor. Number 1 and 2, and they play each other this week. And this is an interesting stat line because it's so close, and it's going to be interesting to see how these teams play this weekend against each other. And I also have a play on that game coming up shortly. Coming in at number 2, off a bye, 89 out of 89, 122, 73%, 1,200 yards and 16 TDs. Very efficient. Coming in at number 2, Madman Club, top 10 QBs. Number 2 this week, Fernando Mendoza out of Indiana. And number 1 on our list this week, out of Oregon, 100 and 134, 74%, 14 TDs. If you look at these stat lines, pretty darn close between these two quarterbacks. Madman Club, top 10 QBs this week, coming in at number 1, Dante Moore out of Oregon. Oregon and Indiana play each other this week. That'll be very interesting. Guys, before we dive into some college plays, and I've got several this week that I really like, make sure you smash that follow button. Make sure you give us plenty of likes. Go over and follow our Follow our podcast. That way, every time it's released, you'll know that podcast is up. YouTube channel, the full podcast video is over on YouTube. All of our short reels are over on YouTube. Check us out on all of our social media. Guys, get over to madmanclub.com today. We will post other picks from time to time, maybe even some parlays over on that website sometimes that may not make it to the podcast. So get over to madmanclub.com, get registered. Everything on the website for right now is no charge. All of our college plays, all of our NFL plays, and that one everybody loves, that Madman Dog of the Week, every single week. And guys, as I mentioned before, we're 59.7%. We're plus 73 units on the year. A $10 better, up $730 through 6 weeks. A $100 better is up $7,300 through 6 weeks. We want to take you to the window. We want you cashing tickets. And guys, if you got questions on games, if you got a game you're watching and you want to make a bet on it, send us over a message. Ask us what we think. We'll give you our opinion on the game and let you know what side we would be on if we had a pick. And we may even make it an official pick. You may see a game that we just overlooked. So absolutely send over those comments and questions. We'll be glad to answer. Let us know what you think about our top 10 QBs. Those are a list that me and our team has put together. If you don't like our list and you think someone else belongs on that top 10, please, by all means, let us know so we can look at the stats and maybe try to squeeze them in there. But definitely make the comment if you want to and let us know what you think about the QBs. All right, guys, here we go. Week number 7, college football. Week number 6 in the NFL. Fresh off a decent week last week. Like I said, we gave back 5 units. Didn't want to, but we did. So this week we're going to try to get it all back and then some. We're not going to chase. We feel like we got a couple good games this week that we really like. And it all starts on Friday night with South Florida and North Texas. North Texas, they've had a decent start. However, they've played Lamar, Western Michigan, Washington State, Army, and South Alabama. South Florida, we know what their schedule's been so far. Started out with Boise State, got the outright win. That was a dog of the week we had. They beat Florida the following week, if I'm not mistaken, 18-17. Lost to Miami, turned right around, beat South Carolina State, beat Charlotte, and of course now they're 4-1. So this game, 2 good quarterbacks. Brown out of South Florida, they got it going pretty good. Metamaker out of North Texas. This line has flipped. It's now a pick. I have a feeling it's going to flip to a fave. South Florida is going to be a -1, -2 by the time we get later in the week. Guys, we are on South Florida. Friday night, North Texas and South Florida take the South Florida Bulls against North Texas as a pick Friday night in college football. Saturday, big game, 12 o'clock. This game is at Missouri. Alabama is a 4.5-point favorite. And, dude, I'm telling you, this Missouri team is playing good football right now. Alabama's 4 straight wins, and I know they've been playing ball. Ty Simpson's getting the job done. 111 to 158, 1478, 13 TDs. Probula, I think it's his name, I'm not really sure. 110 to 145, 1,200 yards, 9 TDs. I just really like the setup for this game. Alabama has got Tennessee on deck. That has always been a big rivalry game. I think this could be a spot where they could very easily overlook Missouri thinking about Tennessee. Saturday at 12 o'clock, Madman Club take Missouri plus the 4.5 against Alabama and Ty Simpson in college football. Eastern Michigan and Northern Illinois, Saturday. This game, if I'm not mistaken, is around 3:30 on Saturday. The line opened up Eastern Michigan as a favorite. That line has flipped to Northern Illinois. This game starts at 1 o'clock. Flipped to Northern Illinois. Northern Illinois at a pick. It's probably going to continue to move in their favor. Both of these clubs 1-4. Eastern Michigan's 1-5. They haven't played very well. They're not very good football teams. However, the dog to fave thing always intrigues me. So Saturday, 1 o'clock, college football, Madman play. Take Northern Illinois, the Huskies, to win the game against Eastern Michigan in college football. Saturday afternoon, the rivalry is back. Texas and Oklahoma are going to get it on Saturday. That game is at 3:30. And guys, I'll be honest with you, I am not impressed with Arch Manning. I have said all the way back to when he was in high school, I was just not impressed. The name on the back doesn't make you the best quarterback. Just because you wear that name Manning on the back of that jersey doesn't mean you're as talented as the last two that come through the league. He's got a lot to do and learn going forward. Texas is not a very good football team in my opinion. Didn't get it done against Ohio State. Ohio State has not been super impressive. They've got a pretty good defense. You lose last week to a Florida team that's just not any good. Florida did get up for that game and beat them, but he has just not played good. He hasn't played good really all season, maybe one game. Oklahoma catching 3, and I know everybody's going to jump on the Arch Manning train, and everybody's going to be betting Texas because they think Texas can win this thing by 2 touchdowns. Me, on the other hand, feel a little differently about this. This Metter kid out of Oklahoma is playing good ball right now, and Oklahoma as a whole is playing good football right now. Guys, Saturday afternoon, 3:30, Red River rivalry. Take Oklahoma plus the 3 against the Texas Longhorns Saturday afternoon in college football. Here's another intriguing matchup. Nebraska and Matt Rule. Nebraska's a 6-point favorite. Matt Rule, it just seems like he gets up again. I don't want to compare him to James Franklin, but it's happened more than once. Not as many times as James Franklin, but Matt Rule, you need to prove a point that Nebraska is that good this year. You're playing a Maryland team this weekend, which you should be able to take care of business. A 6-point favorite, that line opened up at about 4.5, has moved up to 6. Guys, Saturday afternoon at 3:30, I think Matt Rule takes care of business. I think this game is never close. I think Nebraska wins this game in a blowout. So Saturday afternoon, Madman Club play 3:30. Take the Nebraska Cornhuskers against Maryland in what I feel like is going to be a blowout Saturday afternoon in college football. Tennessee is at home. And this is the game I was talking about with Joey Aguilar. Please don't stub your toe. Arkansas, a menace, can be a thorn in the side when you're sitting here staring down the barrel of playing Alabama next weekend. Tennessee at home, -13 against the Razorbacks. And their new coach, Petrino. This is a very complicated spot for Tennessee. 13 is a lot of points to lay to an SEC team when you're staring down the barrel of Alabama next weekend. Saturday afternoon at 4 o'clock, Madman Club play. Take the Razorbacks, Arkansas Razorbacks, plus the 13 against Tennessee. I think they keep this game within 10 the entire time. Take Arkansas plus the 13 against Tennessee Saturday afternoon in college football. Florida and Texas A&M. Florida's fresh off that big win last week against Texas. Now they got to go on the road and play the 12th man in Texas A&M. And this right here is going to be a spot where I believe Florida has turned the corner just a little and can keep these games close the rest of the season. Florida's catching 7.5. Texas A&M's at home. Texas A&M, if I'm not mistaken, is 4-1. We're going to look and we're going to make sure. Texas A&M against Florida. Texas A&M's 5-0, sitting at home. Not quite sure who they've got next week. However, they're laying 7.5 to Florida. I feel like this line will drop. I feel like a lot of people are going to jump on Texas A&M because Florida is 2-3. They are off a big win against Texas. However, I really, really like Florida in this spot. I think they can go out there and keep this game close. They've got a pretty good defense, so keeping it within a touchdown should be the number. Texas A&M at home, of course, they're going to be tough, but I think Florida can keep the game close. So Saturday afternoon, 7 o'clock p.m., take the Florida Gators, chomp chomp, take those Florida Gators plus the 7.5 against the Aggies and Texas A&M and that 12th man. That's a madman play. Lock that one in. Next on our list, Auburn and Georgia. Auburn's at home. Georgia has got Ole Miss on deck. Again, guys, these games, it's going to be some good football coming up over these next few weeks. Auburn sitting at home catching 4. We know how Auburn can keep these games close between Georgia and Alabama and these dudes. It seems like no matter what the records are, Alabama, Georgia, when they play Auburn, it seems like these games continue to just be close every single year until late in that fourth quarter. Georgia having Ole Miss on deck, that right there makes me feel like this is a good spot to back Auburn. Saturday night, 7:30, Auburn at home against Georgia catching 4. Madman Club Betting Podcast play. Take the Auburn Tigers plus the 4 against Georgia Saturday night in college football. Another pretty cool matchup. South Carolina, fresh off a bye against LSU. They're on the road going down to Baton Rouge. Look at the schedules. I think schedule-wise, South Carolina has played a much tougher schedule than LSU. LSU's played Clemson. They're not any good. They played La Tech, mediocre. Florida, mediocre at best. Southeast Louisiana, and Ole Miss. And they lost to Ole Miss. South Carolina has played Virginia Tech. They played South Carolina State, which is not a good football team. Vanderbilt, undefeated. Missouri, undefeated. And, of course, they played Kentucky, which is a big rivalry. Team by team, I think South Carolina's played a tougher schedule. Fresh off a bye week, playing LSU, catching 9.5 against the Tigers on the road. And I'm sure they'll be lathered up down in LSU before this game gets started. But I can assure you that Shane Beamer, during that bye week, number one, you get a little healthy during that bye week. You get a few players back. I think it's going to help South Carolina. Number two, you get to sit down and re-look at and reevaluate where you are as a team, and you can make those changes on the fly. You got 2 weeks to get ready. Guys, Saturday night, 7:45, get your whatever ready, soda, drink, coffee, whatever, little mixed beverage. Cheers to the LSU fans. Saturday night, 7:45. Take those Gamecocks plus 9.5 against LSU. South Carolina and Shane Beamer. We might see a little Beamer ball down in LSU. Saturday night Madman Club Betting Podcast play. Take those Gamecocks plus 9.5 against LSU in college football. Couple more plays, guys, we got. I like this play real well because the fact that we got an unranked versus a ranked. I like looking at these plays, especially if I can see some value in other areas. Utah's opened up as a 4.5 point favorite. That line has swung to 5. So we kind of like the way this thing is sitting right before we give it out. They're playing Arizona State. Leavitt, 99 of 157, 1,000 yard, 8 TDs. Dampier out of Utah, 111, 153, 1,000 yards, 11 TDs. Utah's defense, as we all know, they bring it. They always seem to have a good defense. Both of these teams are off a bye week. I just think being at home, playing against Arizona State, I think they'll get up for this game. I like the fact that it's unranked versus ranked. Guys, Saturday night, this will take some coffee to stay up late. 10:15 start. Madman Club play Saturday. Take Utah minus the 5 against Arizona State Saturday night in college football. Another one on our list, a big game. I talked about this quarterback earlier. Luke Ottmeyer. Sawyer, 101 of 126, 1,300, 3 TDs for Ohio State. Ottmeyer, 109 of 148, 1,600, 12 TDs. The only stubbing your toe against Indiana, everybody else, they took care of business. Illinois is catching 15 as of right now. I feel like this line may drop just a little bit. Big rivalry game, a big game in the Big Ten, and as everybody knows, Illinois was one of my sleeper teams when we talked about some sleeper teams early in the season. Georgia Tech, South Carolina, Illinois was some sleepers that I gave out in those divisions, ACC, SEC, Big Ten. Coming off that loss, they went out and took care of business against Southern Cal, took care of business against Purdue. Ohio State, to me, just looking at their schedule, yes, their defense is stout. They took care of business against everybody they played. I just am not impressed with some of the things they've got. Offense, I'm not impressed with some of the offensive play calling. I'm not impressed with some of the offensive lines, offensive line play. The defense I'm impressed with, but a couple of those teams have not really been that good. So this game starts at 12 o'clock on Saturday. We love it. I love Luke Ottmeyer. I still think Illinois is a sleeper. I don't know if they can get past Oregon or Indiana or any of them, Oregon or Ohio State, but I do think they can keep it close. 12 o'clock on Saturday. Madman Club Betting Podcast play for Saturday. Take Illinois, the Fighting Illini, plus the 15 against Ohio State. I think they keep it within a touchdown. Maybe, just pay attention, maybe have a chance to win this game late into the fourth quarter. You heard it here first. Take the Illinois Fighting Illini against Ohio State Saturday afternoon in college football. Moving on to our next game, and I think this one right here is going to be a good one. USC and Michigan. And look, Underwood is good. I think he's going to be a really good quarterback. However, I also don't think he has played any super big games yet to see whether or not he's going to make any big-time mistakes. You got Southern Cal playing Michigan. Southern Cal at home. minus 2.5. Maya Ava, 98 of 139, 1,600 yards, 11 TDs. Yes, Michigan has a great defense, and I'm sure they'll bring it. I really think this might be a spot where Underwood makes a couple bad throws, gets picked, and somehow ends up costing them this game. Saturday night, 7:30, Madman Club play takes Southern Cal minus the 2.5. Take the Trojans against Michigan minus the 2.5 Saturday night in college football. Another one, guys. Florida State minus 9 against Pitt. Pitt is 3-2. Florida State 3-2, fresh off the loss against Miami. We had Florida State, I think, plus 4.5 or 5. They lose by 6 because the coach kicks a field goal instead of going for a touchdown. Maybe a smart play. You're down by 10. I don't know. However, the gambling gods didn't look after us in that game, so we lose. However, Florida State back at home, minus 9 against Pitt. Pitt has blown a couple games here lately. They did put a thrashing on Boston College last week, 48-7, when we needed the over. And of course, Boston College left their offense on the school bus. They didn't bring any defense either, but all we needed was a couple more touchdowns, and they couldn't find the end zone. So we lost on that play. Pitt on the road, going down to play Florida State. I really think this is a get-right spot. Florida State's got the weapons to really do some damage this weekend, and I think they do. I think they really get back on track against Pitt this weekend because, as you've seen over the last few weeks, Pitt's defense is not that good. And Florida State, with the weapons they have, we watched them score 19 points in the fourth quarter against Miami and shut Miami down in the second half of that football game. I really believe they can shut Pitt down. Saturday morning at 12 o'clock game, Madman Club Betting Podcast play. Take the Seminoles of Florida State minus the 9 against Pitt Saturday 12 o'clock college football. Guys, that is some plays that we got for this week. We're giving them out over on the madmanclub.com. Make sure you hit that follow button, smash that like button, all of those things. Get over on all of our social media. We're over on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. You can see the full podcast over on the YouTube channel video. You can listen to the podcast on the podcast platform. You can find us anywhere you see us. We're going to get you to the window. We're going to cash tickets. That's what we're here for. We're plus 73 units through 6 weeks of college football, 5 weeks of NFL. There's 50 markets for this year. We want to keep it going, guys. We're going to keep trying to dig up winners. So let's get to that ticket window and let's cash some tickets. Guys, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the NFL games that we like this weekend. Guys, just remember, smash that follow button. Make sure you get over to madmanclub.com. Everything over on the website, college plays, NFL plays, and that Madman Dog of the week right now, no charge. So hit that follow button, get over to madmanclub.com. Guys, we'll be back in just a few moments. Welcome back in, guys. Madman Club Betting Podcast, and we're getting ready to dive into some NFL week number 6. But before we do, there's one more game that I forgot to talk about a few moments ago in college football. One of the biggest games of the week, not to discount Alabama, Missouri, not to discount Illinois, Ohio State. However, Indiana goes on the road undefeated to play Oregon undefeated. I think both of these teams are off a bye. Oregon, of course, beat Penn State on the road in a whiteout. And you guys heard my James Franklin rant, so I'm not going to go into that too much. However, Oregon's undefeated at home, laying 9.5. Oregon, that Dante Moore, of course, I mentioned him in my quarterback top 10. Mendoza, same thing. They beat Oregon's beat Penn State and Oregon State, couple decent wins. Indiana's beat Illinois and Iowa. So both of them, the stats of the quarterbacks are pretty close. Stats of the team's pretty close as far as who they've played. Illinois rolled into Indiana. Indiana put a beat down on them. Oregon went on the road to Happy Valley. Whiteout, won that game in overtime. So I think pretty good matchup. Oregon opened this thing up at 10 and 10.5. That line's now dropped to 9.5. But I did want to talk about this game before we move over into our NFL plays for the week, and I've got several of those. But guys, this is the game, 3:30 Saturday afternoon, and I am really high on this situation. Indiana on the road at Oregon, catching 9.5. It is time again, guys. It's time for that Madman Club Dog of the Week. I think this team could pull the outright upset on the road. Guys, Saturday afternoon, 3:30, Oregon, Indiana. Take the Hoosiers of Indiana plus the 9.5. That is your Madman Club Dog of the Week for this week in college football. Let's move on to the NFL, and we got a pretty good slate of games coming up this weekend. Got another early game across the ocean, so that'll be interesting. I do have a play on that game. Let's start out with that very game on Sunday. Sunday morning, 9:30, get your cup of coffee ready. Jets, Broncos. The Jets, awful, and I mean awful. Daniels did look a little better in the second half against, was it Dallas last week? I can't remember. But they looked a little bit better in the second half. Got a couple touchdown passes, but this has been an awful, awful season for the New York Jets, as they have started 0-5, have yet to get a turnover through 5 games, which is a record all the way back to several years ago. The Broncos, they don't impress me up to this point. Bo Nix, it's up and down with him, man. It could be a good day or a bad day. Sunday morning at 9:30, we're going to go out on that limb because we're catching so many points. Sunday afternoon or Sunday morning, 9:30, Madman Club Betting Podcast play. Take the Jets, Jets, plus the 7.5 against the Denver Broncos. And don't be surprised if they get him to turn the ball over a couple times. And these Jets just might pull that upset across the pond. Jets, Jets, Sunday morning, 9:30. Lock it in. 1 o'clock games, Sunday. We've got one, Seattle on the road against Jacksonville. Jacksonville fresh off that late drive against Kansas City to come back and win that game 31-28. Thrilled about that. I'm glad that Kansas City has lost several games this year, and I hope they lose several more. I'm still not impressed with Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence just makes some bonehead plays, man, and it happens all the time with him. So not impressed. Jacksonville is a 1.5 point favorite. It looks to me like that line is going to flip or has flipped over to Seattle as a -1. We'll make it a pick. As of right now, I think that's where we're going to be headed. Seattle on the road, fresh off that loss last weekend. So Madman Club play 1 o'clock Sunday afternoon. Take the Seattle Seahawks against Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Seattle as a pick. Madman play. Lock that one in. Another game Sunday at 1 o'clock. Miami at home hosting the Chargers, who did not look the part last week against Washington. As a favorite, get beat. Now they got to go on the road to play Miami. This line opened up as a Chargers -5.5. That line is dropped down to 4.5. It's going to be hot. We all know that down in Miami. The way this weather's been here lately, hot and humid. On the road, playing against Miami, fast-paced, throwing the ball all over the field, making you run in that Miami heat. This is the only reason I'm taking them. I'm not a Miami fan, and I don't think Miami's a real good football team. But we all know what that heat does and that humidity does to some of these teams when they get down there in South Florida. So Madman Club play Sunday, 1 o'clock. Take the Miami Dolphins plus the 5 against the Chargers. Sunday afternoon, 1 o'clock. That's a Madman play. Get that one locked in. Another one late Sunday, Kansas City at home, 8:20, hosting Detroit. If I'm not mistaken, Detroit's off a bye. I believe. I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, Detroit blew out somebody last week. Kansas City -2.5. Line looks a little fishy to me. -2.5, coming off a loss against Jacksonville. Back at home, playing a 4-1 Detroit team. Both of these teams are pretty good. Spags will have his defense ready to go against Jared Goff and Detroit. The line looks a little weird to me. And when it looks a little weird, I've got to get on that right side. I really believe we're on the right side looking at this one. I don't think you're going to see them come off back-to-back losses. 8:20, a night game in Kansas City, one of the loudest places to play. Detroit's got to go on the road. Guys, Madman Club play, Madman Betting Podcast. Take the Kansas City Chiefs minus the 2.5 against the Detroit Lions. That game is Sunday night at 8:20. 1 o'clock on Sunday, the Baltimore Ravens playing the LA Rams. Baltimore is just decimated with injuries all over the field. However, I don't think they're hurt so bad that they're going to be facing a blowout. You got the Rams coming to town. The Rams, fresh off that blowing a win against San Francisco last week. San Francisco was without a quarterback, had a backup quarterback. Everybody on the offense is hurt. They don't have anybody to throw the ball to, and they come out and win the game, I think 26-23. The Rams just flat blew that game. So I don't think they're going to go on the road, fly across the country, play a 1 o'clock game at Baltimore, and be able to cover a 7.5 point spread. Madman Club play Sunday, 1 o'clock. Madman Betting Podcast. Take the Baltimore Ravens to cover, if not win the game outright, against the Los Angeles Rams Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock. Another one I like real well, just because eventually Daniel Jones is going to fall on his face. I don't know when, and he may not. I may be completely off my rocker. However, it's happened before. They are playing good ball. He's in a good situation. They put him in a good spot with tons of talent around him. So he has looked really, really good. Arizona coming to town this weekend. Indiana's a 6.5-point favorite. Sometimes I just think you got to get on the other side, because eventually Indianapolis is going to stub their toe. May not lose, but they'll be in a close ball game, and this is one of those spots where it could be a real close ball game. Arizona's not a good football team. Indianapolis could very easily overlook them as they come into town to play in the Dome. Don't be surprised if you see a lot of running around by you-know-who. Maybe he don't get on the video game this weekend and he goes out and plays some football. Guys, 1 o'clock Sunday afternoon, Madman Club Betting Podcast play. Take the Arizona Cardinals plus the 6.5 against the Indianapolis Colts as they keep it close up until late in that game, maybe even have a chance to win it. Again, guys, take the Arizona Cardinals plus the 6.5 against the Indianapolis Colts Sunday afternoon in the NFL. Last play on the board, Cleveland on the road at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh opened up 3.5, 4.5, I believe. That line has moved up to 5.5. The Browns have not been very good, haven't stopped anybody, and it's not been a very good start to the season. For me, I'm glad. I'm a Pittsburgh fan, so I love when Baltimore, Cincinnati, and the Browns continue to lose. Off a bye week, so plenty of rest. Maybe got some guys healthy. This may be where Pittsburgh can start that run, hopefully, and Aaron Rodgers, what we feel like was going to be his last year. If Pittsburgh can make a run here the next few weeks, they may be able to pull away far enough to win this division. Guys, Sunday afternoon, Madman Club Betting Podcast play. Take the Pittsburgh Steelers minus the 5 against the Cleveland Browns in the NFL. Guys, we're going to wrap things up. That's all of our plays. We went over our top 10 QBs. We went over the top 10 rankings of all the college football teams. Chime in, let us know what you think about the top 10 teams. Who do you think should be in the top 10? Who do you think should not be in the top 10? This week we'll decide some of those, as we've got, like we said, Alabama, Missouri playing each other, Illinois, Ohio State playing each other, Oregon and Indiana playing each other. So we're going to get some games this weekend that'll answer some of those questions and maybe even shed some light on what the top 10 should be. Top 10 QB list. We gave out, or I gave out, my Madman Club top 10 QB list. Let me know what you think about the list. If you don't like who's on the list, let us know who you think should be on the list, and let us know what you think those top 10 QBs should be. We're going strictly off of some stats. The reason that we're using the stats is I don't think, in my personal opinion, that records, although the quarterback plays a big part in whether you win or lose, I don't think you need to punish what you would consider a top 10 QB based on stats if a team loses just because their defense is not any good. This is straight off of stats. We look at the stats, the TDs. We do look at the record a little bit, but that's not one of the top issues that we use to determine our top 10 quarterbacks. Again, let me know what you think. Who do you think should be one of those top 10 QBs? Who do you think we have in our top 10 that does not belong in the top 10 on our QB list? But guys, we want to say thank you to everyone who listens. Thank you to everyone who has got on that Madman train and we took it to the window and cashed those tickets. We appreciate everybody out there for following us. For those who haven't and those who stop by to listen, make sure you smash that follow button. Make sure you click that like every time you see one of those videos. Make sure you follow our podcast over on the platforms. get over to YouTube where you can watch the entire podcast. Or if you just want to watch the reels, you can do that too. But guys, for this week, that is a wrap for the Madman Club Betting Podcast show. We appreciate everybody for stopping by and taking a listen. Guys, as we always say here at the Madman Club Betting Podcast, make sure you continue to bet smart and bet like a madman.